This is the start to my stuffed morel mushroom recipe. Cut the morels in half and set them up in a pan. Next, you take your asparagus and your ramps and you're going to chop them up. Sorry, I don't have my gear with me. I'm traveling now, so I'm working as best as I can with this phone. You're going to chop them up into half-inch pieces on asparagus here. Trying to do this one-handed while I hold the phone is not easy. Of course, there's a world record piece of asparagus here. The thing is a monster. I showed that earlier in the video. Give me a second and I'm going to do some chopping. Next, I'm going to take the wild ramps. I'm going to chop those guys up into thin strips. I just cut them along in real tiny strips across. Again, sorry about this. I'd be a little more detailed with my chopping, but got to hold the phone with one hand and can't chop with only one. Okay, you can see here I cut them just in the whole leaf. I just cut them in little strips like this, and then we'll add that to the bowl with the asparagus here. And mix them up a little. And I got to get to my freezer here and get some shrimp. Yeah, I know those are fly swatters. Like I said, we're working in strange conditions right now. Empty house, but and minimal equipment or tools, so couldn't get any closer to camping setup than this. Well, I have my shrimp thawing. I'm gonna cut my 8 ounces of cream cheese. I'm only doing a small batch here, so I'll probably cut that down to about 3 ounces, about all I'll need. I don't want to overdo it with that. And then we'll be adding that to the mix too. So now that I got my cream cheese added, and the ramps already give a bit of a garlicky taste, I'm actually going to grab just a little bit of garlic powder to throw in there too. And while my shrimp is thawing over here, I'll be starting the bacon in the pan over there. Okay, while my bacon is starting to fry up and brown, time to chop the shrimp up. Do a small batch here. I'm using 3 shrimp. What I do is I chop 6 shrimp. What I do is I chop up 4 of them. And I'm going to save 2 of those and cut them in half. Just fry the bacon up in a little bit. Get them crispy. And generally what I'll do is I'll put 1 small stalk of asparagus into each mushroom, but because this thing is a chunk of asparagus from Monster Land or Giant Land, I'm cutting it into 4 strips also. Now what I do is I'm just going to put these slivers, which most of the time you just use a whole piece of asparagus, and just stick them right into the morel itself. And of course my wonderful cooking is just off the fire alarm. Okay, I took care of the alarm, and then what I'll do is just about when the bacon's done, I throw the shrimp in there just to get it a little bit cooked off for the mix, and mix that in with the bacon. And just get the shrimp cooked because it'll finish off in the oven, is what it ends up doing. And yeah, there's a few pieces of ramp in there too. Okay, I drain most of the bacon fat out, but I do leave a little bit in there just for the flavor. And then we dump that into the cream cheese mix too. Then we take our bacon and shrimp that we cooked up a little bit here. We add it to the ramps, the morels, and the cream cheese. And just a dash of garlic powder to the mix. Because the ramps actually have a pretty good garlicky flavor already. You don't need much, but it just enhances it a little. And you take this whole mess and you start stirring. And I know I got to use a fork here. Usually I use a wire whip, but again, I'm working with very limited supplies. Not in my home base right now, taking care of family stuff down about 400 miles from home. But this is the hunting ground that I always do go to. And usually I'm set up better. But we're using a fork. And again, putting the phone down because I only got one hand. There, that's it all mixed up, and then what I'm going to do is just take the pork and I'm going to stuff it into these guys. I'll try and do this on camera here, but again, a little hard to do with one hand in the format. But just a nice little good spoonful scoop. We're going to pack in these, well, as much as needed, but it looks like about a spoonful each. And at this point, that's what it should look like. I'll just do this one guy real quick. Then I take half of the shrimp that I cut. And I just set that bugger on top like that. Next, we wrap the whole thing in bacon. And the size of these guys, I needed to use 1.5 slices of bacon, but basically, you wrap it from the top to the bottom in bacon, covering everything. And that's what they should look like just before they go in the oven. Nice wrapped up and ready to go. I'm going to run her at 400 degrees. And that'll be anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes, basically until the bacon is nice and crispy. You want to make sure your morels are fully cooked. You don't ever want to eat an undercooked or raw morel because you'll regret it. In fact, there's been a couple cases of people actually dying from eating raw morel. And in the oven they go. And then I'm going to just start some basic chicken flavored rice, whatever brand or flavor you want. I prefer the chicken. My wife likes a cheesy rice mix that's made, and but that's your choice to flavor. And you can also add salt and pepper to the top of them. I like to leave them plain. I think the bacon salts them up enough, and the pepper just seems a little bit overkill with this one. And that's basically the setup, and it'll be done in a little bit. Got my rice going here now. It's just a basic chicken flavored rice that comes in a box. I did add a little of the rest of the mix that was left over to the rice just to get a little flavor and let it boil along with it. And then just a splash of the bacon grease too. Yeah, I know it's bad for your heart. You don't have to do that. But my saying is, fat is flavor. Well, it's been 40 minutes. Time to cancel the oven. And pull out our stuff right out. Look at those beauties. Ain't they something? If we had smell-o-vision, you'd be in heaven. And what I'm going to do is I'll serve these over the rice. I'll show you the finished product in just a second. Get a little scoop of my boxed rice, yeah. I know, I'm being lazy with this, but again, I don't have the facility to do all this stuff homemade. But I'm sure you get the gist of it. You can add whatever rice, so use whatever rice you want. You set that bad boy down in there, and then you grab one of your monster morels. Yep, a spoon-sized beast. Throw one on. Throw two on. And then if you want to make your own little special sauce, something creamy or something else wouldn't be bad on top of it. But again, I do not have the facilities that I'm accustomed to here, and basically it still tastes good. Ain't the prettiest on the plate. Again, I'm using plastic plates right now. It's living with what I can. Anyhow, enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe.